Welcome back to our deep dive. Today, we're looking at some really interesting material someone shared. It's a script all about automation within, the context of AI.
Yeah, exactly. And our plan is basically to unpack what this specific source says automation is, how it argues that connects to AI, and, why it thinks that connection should matter to you.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get into it. So this source kicks off defining automation. Seems pretty straightforward at first. A machine working on its own, following instructions.
Right, it starts there, which feels familiar, but here's where it takes a bit of a turn, according to the text. It highlights this capability. It finds, well, surprising maybe,
Okay.
that automated machines, if you give them the right info and a task, can actually create their own algorithms to,
Yeah.
work properly and efficiently.
Their own algorithms,
Yeah,
not just following pre-programmed steps.
exactly. That's the key point the source makes. It's not just execution, it's, well, figuring out the steps itself, in a way.
Hmm. That does sound like a bigger deal than just, running a program.
Yeah.
The script uses examples, right? Things like animations.
Yeah, it points to characters like in Wall-E or Toy Story, even Cars, characters that seem to adapt, to act almost spontaneously.
Right. They don't feel totally robotic, even though they're machines or toys.
Exactly. The source seems to use these as relatable ways to think about machines doing complex things more dynamically, and it
Yeah.
kind of projects that forward.
Yeah, so-
It suggests, future androids acting similarly, learning our habits and basically writing their own instructions for daily tasks.
Okay, so moving beyond animations and maybe far future androids, does the source mention where this kind of self-algorithm generation happens now in the real world?
It does. It gives a couple of practical examples, things like forecasting stock market changes, which is obviously complex.
Yeah, very unpredictable.
Right. Or analyzing customer service behavior to figure out better ways to respond, stuff that needs systems to go beyond just a fixed response list.
Gotcha. So tasks requiring adaptation and pattern finding, essentially.
That seems to be the idea.
Now, what about the big AIs we hear about constantly, like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Grok, that sort of thing? Where does the source place them in this picture?
Ah, right. It specifically mentions them. It says that while they seem very lifelike, very capable,
They certainly do.
they don't actually have this ability yet to truly take control of their own actions based on algorithms they generate themselves.
Okay, so that's a key distinction the source is making. Appearances versus this underlying capability.
Exactly. But then it immediately adds that companies are working on this, trying to give AIs that kind of self-control, framing it as being for the betterment of us.
For our betterment. Okay, so let's tie this together then. How does the script explicitly connect automation, this self-programming idea, with artificial intelligence? What's the core link?
The connection it draws is pretty fundamental. It argues that AI, like true AI, actually needs this ability. It needs to be able to create its own algorithms and instructions when you give it a task and the data.
Oh, I see.
So this capability of automation, as the source describes, the self-generating part, is presented as, well, essential for actually achieving AI.
Okay, so it's not just automation in the sense of a factory robot doing the same weld over and over. It's this deeper level, figuring out how to do things based on the situation. That's the link.
That's precisely the link the source highlights. And it wraps this up by stating the goal behind developing AIs with this kind of reasoning, AIs that can learn from us.
Yeah. What's the stated goal?
It's about freeing people up, letting AI handle the, boring, repetitive tasks so that humans can focus on the creative, the enjoyable stuff.
Right. Okay, so recapping this, look at the source material. Automation here is more than just following orders. It's about machines making their own rules or algorithms. The source sees this as a key step towards AI.
With the ultimate aim being to take the dull work off our plates.
Got it.
But that does leave us with a final thought, drawing directly from the source. It lays out this goal, AI, for repetitive tasks for our benefit, yet it also notes companies are trying to give AI self-control, again, supposedly for our betterment. So the question for you listening is, if AIs gain the ability to act independently, to control their own actions, even with good intentions, what does that really mean for the idea of them just handling the boring stuff? What other possibilities or maybe concerns does that raise for you?